The reality is that this case is obviously a political vendetta. It's just the mere fact that it's a $145 million judgment. I'm very, very disappointed that this judge doesn't take seriously how ridiculous the judgment is.
If Rudy Giuliani sounds a little rattled there, it's because today a federal judge threatened to hold him in contempt of court for squirreling away assets he's been ordered to turn over to Ruby Freeman and Shaye Moss, the two Georgia election workers he defamed after the 2020 election. Now, their lawyer told the court that Giuliani has yet to share the whereabouts of his worldly possessions, while simultaneously flouting the court order by driving around Palm Beach on Election Day in the vintage Mercedes convertible that he owes to Freeman and Moss. Giuliani has not only lost his ability to practice law in New York and Washington, D.C., as well as ownership of his New York City home, he now also stands to lose his freedom. As for the guy on whose behalf Giuliani has incurred all these punishments, it is an open question whether he will pay any price at all. Joining me now is Lisa Rubin, MSNBC legal correspondent. Lisa, please, let's dig into the absolute absurdity, the farce that is Rudy Giuliani hiding valuable assets to just avoid having to give them to Ruby Freeman and Shaye Moss. Is he going to be held in contempt of court?
If he doesn't turn a list of what he has and how to actually transfer them to Ruby Freeman and Shaye Moss's lawyers by Monday, he will be held in contempt of court. You and I were talking during the break about the fact that he was already supposed to turn over these assets to them last week. He had 7 days to do so. He didn't comply with that. And in between, the lady's lawyers went to the apartment, opened up the key that they were given, the Giuliani apartment here in New York City, opened up the key and found that it had been basically denuded of all the valuables that they were
that he was supposed to turn over to
correct, and they were expecting to find therein. Between that and the fact that they saw the same picture you and I saw of Rudy Giuliani driving up to Trump's polling place in his vintage 1980 Mercedes that once belonged to Lauren Bacall, they then asked the court for a hearing immediately, saying he is playing games and you should not.
There he is in it.
Yeah, you should not countenance this anymore.
The flouting of the court and the agreement, to me, suggests that Rudy believes he can be saved somehow, that, like, the law doesn't apply to him here. But this is a civil case, right? Like,
it's a civil case where he owes $146 million with interest building. And if Rudy Giuliani could not get Donald Trump to pay him a $2 million claim for his legal services during the 2020 election post period, I don't think that Donald Trump is going to walk in and save the day and pay this judgment for him. And short of that, Alex, there's nothing that would get rid of this. You cannot disappear civil liabilities by being president. You can't get rid of civil cases, and you can't get rid of state criminal ones either.
Can we talk a little bit about civil cases as they pertain to Donald Trump? Because he is still on the hook for $450 million in civil fines for his business fraud case in New York. What is happening there?
That case is on appeal, but as it's on appeal, similarly, the interest is mounting. You and I will both remember that several months ago, he had to post a bond that was reduced by an appellate court to about $175 million and not the full totality of that $400+ million judgment. But if he loses, similarly, Donald Trump will owe Letitia James in the state of New York $450+ million in that judgment. And that's not to say anything of the two E. Jean Carroll verdicts through which he owes her $90+ million. Those cases are also on appeal. It's possible Donald Trump could win those appeals.
Right.
And I don't want to discount that. But if those judgments are all upheld, we're talking about a universe in which Donald Trump owes more than $500 million to two women alone.
Wow. I mean, he also has a deliberation is happening right now. Judge Juan Merchan, who oversaw Trump's hush money case, is, I believe, he has given himself until November 12th.
That's right.
To determine whether or not to toss the case. Now that Donald Trump is president-elect, how much do you think that affects Merchan's deliberations?
I don't think it affects his deliberations with respect to the conviction itself. I think it weighs much more heavily on him if he sustains the verdict with respect to the sentencing. Yeah. And you can expect, and I certainly expect, to see an application of some sort by Donald Trump's lawyers asking him to either postpone the sentencing or never hold it, because it would be improper. It would raise constitutional concerns to sentence a president-elect. I think the big question on everybody's mind is when that application comes, what is Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg going to do? Is he going to agree that the sentence should be held in abeyance during Trump's presidency? You could put a 4-year pause on it, for example, on the sentencing, or you could just agree he doesn't need to be sentenced at all as long as the conviction holds. My guess is that Alvin Bragg's team wants to be vindicated with respect to the actual conviction. Whether or not Trump is sentenced may mean less to them.
Well, we're in terra incognito, as they say, Lisa.
Oh, are we?
You are our guide through all of it. Thank you for your time tonight, my friend.
Thank you.